Hello and welcome to the 17th tutorial in the JavaScript Basics series, and in this tutorial we're going to look at conditional statements. This tutorial seems you've done tutorial 2. If you haven't, there'll be a link in the description to the source code, and as usual there'll be a link in the description to the source code produced from this tutorial. So what are conditional statements? Conditional statements are essentially used to perform different actions based on conditions. So that's pretty cool. So you can execute a block of code only if a certain condition is met. So let's just actually show you how they work by just open up a text editor. Then you want to open up the files from tutorial 2. And in the main.js, we're just going to create a couple of new variables. We'll create one called var x equals 5, var y equals 7. And now what we're going to do, the first conditional statement I'm going to show you is an if statement. You use this statement to execute some code, but only if a specified condition is true. So if I do if, and you're enclosing curly braces. You don't actually have to. If you only have one line within the conditional statement, like we only have one this time, that's fine. You don't need any curly braces. But if you have more than one line, you need curly braces to specify where the condition the statement starts and where it ends. But I would put curly braces just because it looks nicer. And if we put x equals y, this is the double equal, which is the comparison operator, which we covered a couple of tutorials ago. And what this will do is if x equals y, we'll make it print out they are the same. And if we just load this in a web browser, nothing happens. The reason nothing happens is because they're not the same. But if we were to change that to 5, refresh, and now they are the same, or spell they wrong, they are the same. And what is this useful for? This is pretty cool. Imagine if you've got a website or any sort of program, and the user is allowed to select maybe something from a drop down, and maybe it is age, and you could say if the age is less than 18, then display maybe child content or non-explicit content, and then if they're over 18, display adult content for them. So that's a quick example of what you could do with an if statement. Beyond a regular if statement, you got something called an if-else statement. And you use this statement to execute some code if the condition is true, and another piece of code if the condition is false. So it's basically sort of like a fallback. To do that, you put else. The curly braces is the same situation, so if you just have the one line, you don't need them, but best to put them anyway, just so they're easy to read. And what this says is, if this condition is true, then you'll run this code. If it's not true, you'll run whatever code's in here. So we're going to put an alert in here, which just says, they are not the same. And if I just change this to 8, refresh, says they are not the same. If I change it to 5, refresh, they are the same. And as you can see, it's only running one alert because only one condition at any given time is true. So the next conditional statement we're going to look at is the if-else statement, and you use this statement to select one of many blocks of code to be executed. And what you do, you put else if here, put the condition, and you put your code that you want to be executed here. This is essentially like duplicating multiple ifs, and you might think, why wouldn't you just duplicate multiple ifs? If you just have it like this, and this validates as true, it won't even do any of this code at all. If you have multiple ifs, it will at the bare minimum do the check. And if, for example, this check is just something like, is x less than y, and this one is just, is x greater than or equal to y, at any given time, only one of these conditions can be true. So if I'm just going to put greater than y, so we can actually fall back into the else statement. And if we put alert, and we're just going to put greater, smaller, I'm just going to put equal. And if we refresh, it says equal because it checked, is x smaller than y? No. Is x greater than y? No. So it just falls back. What we can do, we can change this to 6. So you'll check, is 6 greater than 5? I mean 6 less than 5? No. Is 6 greater than 5? Yes. So you'll print out greater. If we go back to and finally change this to a 4, refresh, it prints out smaller. That's it for conditional statements. What else you can do is just get rid of the else. You don't have to have an else. If you have an else if, you could just simply have a if and else. So if this was 5, again, we refresh the web page, nothing happens because it's not greater than and it's not less than. I'm going to put this code back in there, and there is one final conditional statement called a switch statement, and you can use this statement to select one of many blocks of code to be executed, very similar to an if and else statement, but it's suited towards different types of coding. There'll be a separate tutorial on that. It's actually going to be the next tutorial, which will be covering switch statements that deserve the tutorial in itself. So that's it for conditional statements. Like I said, the next tutorial will be on switch statement. If you have any questions, feel free to message us. All the required links for the source code will be in the description. And as usual, thanks for watching.